Hi, Owen. A couple of points before we talk about your poem. Number one is that I wanted to mention that this is another week that you didn't include questions at the bottom of each of your poems. So I really need you to include two questions at the bottom of each of your poems, or you will not receive full credit for your writing assignments next week. Um, the other thing is that in terms of the poetry submissions, I'm just going to read this to you. Now that you have your writing wheels greased from the last 2 weeks of prompts, I'm changing things up. This week, I want you to choose one of these prompts and write one longer poem of at least 12 lines. At the end of your poem, ask two questions about your poem that you would like answered by your instructor and your peers. So, sort of from here until your final portfolio, I'll be offering two prompts, but you only have to do one prompt. You have to do one prompt, write one poem that's 12 lines long, and you have to ask two questions about that poem in the same document. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out. Feel free to send me an email, or we can always set up a phone call if that would be easier. I noticed in your notes that in this poem about the Arizona Coyotes that you liked the way it turned out and you thought it worked really well. So I'm going to go ahead and treat this as your poetry submission this week. I also thought it worked really well. I liked how much the repetition happened. It turned it almost like into a chant. It turned it almost as if I was at the game with you and I was like chanting or cheering for the crowd, cheering with the crowd. It gave me that kind of a sense, and I really liked that. Um, so I think the only thing that kind of threw me off was I liked the sort of play-by-play announcerish tone of this poem, but when you get to the point, oh, but they scored, so it's all good now, there was something that felt a little bit stilted about that line for me, so I would ask you to read it out loud, read your poem out loud to yourself, and when you hit that line, does there something that seems off to you? And I think it might be the O. I think the line might work better, but they scored, so it's all good now. Instead of the O. I think the O is what's throwing me off. So anyway, as always, let me know if you have any questions about our assignments or moving forward. But thank you for your poems this week.